Okay, we'll go ahead and call to order the meeting of the Sanford City Commission for Monday, March 31st, 2025. First order of business is legislative prayer by Pastor Todd of the Sanford Police Department, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, and would you please stand with me? Bow your heads and your hearts with me, friends. Heavenly Father, as we begin our time together tonight, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for the foundation that was laid hundreds of years ago that allow us to be here at this place tonight to do business and to transact the things that are before us, because those that went before us established the way for that. I'm thankful for that foundation. Lord, I pray that we might find our feet planted firmly in that tonight. And I pray, Father, that as we move forward, that in this meeting this evening, that you would help us to remember that each and every person should be treated with dignity and respect. I pray that you find, each of us might find that within our hearts to do. Lord, I'm thankful for the city of Sanford. I'm thankful for each component that makes it up and makes it a great place to live, a great place to work, and we're thankful for that. So I pray tonight that you would go before us. In your name I pray. Amen. Amen. Standing.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you. We have a couple of presentations this evening. Get my things organized a little bit. First is a proclamation on behalf of the retirement of Dr. Hector Octaviani. If you could please rise and you need to come forward. If you want to bring anybody with you, please feel free to do so. Whereas Dr. Hector Octaviani, MD, has been in practice since July 5, 1985, till present at the Central Florida Family Health Center, doing business as True Health. And whereas Dr. Octaviani received his bachelor's in natural sciences at the University of Puerto Rico, Rio Piedras, Puerto Rico, in 1982, magna cum laude, with a 3.87 GPA, with a major in biology and minor in mathematics, physics, and chemistry. Whereas Dr. Octaviani received his doctorate in medicine at the University of Puerto Rico School of Medicine in 1982, and whereas Dr. Octaviani was on the board of directors from 1996 to 1999, secretary of the board of directors from 1995 to 1996, the clinical directors network chairperson from 1995 to 1997, and the clinical directors network vice chairperson from 1994 to 1995 for the Florida Association of Community Health Centers. Whereas Dr. Octaviani has been an active member of the American Academy of Pediatrics from 1982 until the present, and has received awards from the Shriners Hospitals for Children for his commitment to children with orthopedic conditions, burns, spinal cord injuries, and more from 2014 to 2020. And whereas Dr. Octaviani was a choir member of the All Souls Catholic Church in Sanford from 1993 to 2013 and received the Seminole County Public Schools Exceptional Student Support Services Recognition Award in 2005, now therefore I, Art Woodruff, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Sanford, Florida, do hereby officially recognize with honor on March 27, 2025, the retirement of Dr. Hector Octaviani.
Well, I'm not a person of a lot of words. I just want to thank God for giving me the health to survive all these years, because I'm not getting any younger. I'm getting older every day. But I was able to carry on keep this body going to complete this task. Thanks to all of you that helped me through the way.
And Janelle Dunn, the CEO.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me time. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board. I just want to say thank you so much on behalf of the patient, staff, Board of True Health. 138,000 patients seen in 40 years. You have been a blessing, not only to True Health, but to the Sanford community. And we thank you and we love you.
We don't get a song from the choir member? Muchas gracias, doctor. It's going to be appropriate if it rains tonight, considering what we're talking about.
Okay, this one is for Water Conservation Month. Whereas the city of Sanford and the state of Florida have designated April as Water Conservation Month to educate citizens about saving precious water resources. And whereas the city is committed to setting a good example for its citizens regarding water conservation, and whereas clean, safe, resilient water resources and supplies are vital to the city's economy, environment, and its people. And whereas from April 1 to 30, 2025, the city of Sanford will inspire its residents to reduce their impact on the environment, which helps save costs for consumers and ultimately saves infrastructure and operating costs for the city. And whereas residents and business owners may become a more active steward of the community and Sanford's natural resources by registering their participation in the city's challenge, helping to decrease water use and to further reduce pollution. And whereas the state of Florida, Water Management Districts, Florida section of the American Water Works Association, and the city of Sanford are also working together to increase awareness about the importance of water conservation. And whereas every business, industry, school, and citizen can make a difference when it comes to conserving water. And whereas the city of Sanford's Spring Waterwise event will partner with the Seminole County Cooperative Extension Service, Seminole County, and Lowe's for Earth Day week on April 12th, Saturday, April 12th. Now, therefore, I, Art Woodruff, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Sanford, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2025 as Water Conservation Month.
Yeah, see you at Lowe's on April 12th from 9:30 to 11:30.
Okay. We have a shower head exchange, and then you can do water barrels.
There's free Zoom meetings you can sign up for. You can let and water conservation kits, water barrels, 125 trees.
Right. All right. And they registered for that through the city website?
Through the city website.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you very much. Next, we have a presentation from the Mayor's Youth Council Legislative Action Days. I don't see Lisa. Is Lisa doing that? Not here. Oh. Do we have a presentation? Press? Oh, okay. All right. There we go. So Commissioner Wiggins, Commissioner Thomas, and I were all in Tallahassee with our youth council. There we are with Representative David Smith. They are, and for it, they had me leave, and then they took that picture.
These kids were quite impressive.
Full disclosure, I did not ride the bus with them. But they had 2 full days of activities through the League of Cities and got to meet with the legislator and a couple of legislative aides, saw the Capitol.
Probably the most well-behaved participants up at Tallahassee all week. And I missed the mock debate. Were you in that one, Commissioner Wiggins? Yeah. That could have been interesting.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add about the trip?
Oh, no, just, again, it was about 6 years. So again, it's always a thrill to be able to take the kids up there and be able to expose them to this. And so, look forward to it each year.
All right.
It gives me hope that kids have the interest in understanding how government works.
Yes. Yeah.
We can get that generation involved and have them understand the process, the good, the bad, and the ugly, then the future is good.
Yeah.
And thank you, Nikki, for stepping in at the last minute there and joining us.
Mine.
Okay. All right. Then that brings us to the minutes. The March 10, 2025 regular meeting. I would ask if there would be a motion.
Move to approve.
Oh, hold on.
Okay.
Because I think there needs to be a motion to, the issue is the word reprimand because an individual commissioner cannot issue a reprimand. So I'm not sure we want that in our minutes. The commissioner can certainly bring a motion to do that. And as a board, we can issue a reprimand. But I would recommend changing that language. But that is to y'all to make the motion.
I would like to move to approve them as written.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay. Under discussion, I listened to your meeting, Commissioner Britton, more than once. There are some things that you discussed that I also had discussed. I think there were certainly good points made. But it was clear that you were upset during that meeting. Twice before the end of the meeting, you mentioned that you were intimidated by the city manager. 15% of the time was spent on HR issues. To be perfectly honest, I would have been staring at in disbelief when you suggested that an employee that was let go should not have been let go because now they know it's a serious thing to do something wrong and they'll be a better employee at a different city.
That's not what I said.
That is
Okay.
what you said.
Okay, you take negative. And so for you to just pull out items and not mention the whole thing, so I have no problem with clarifying. I have no problem with clarifying. If you would like for me to do that.
Oh, no, I have the transcript.
Then I read the
It's a
transcript then,
public
sir.
record.
Read the full transcript because that was taken completely out of context. And please be reminded, I did not request the one-on-one meeting. The city manager requested the one-on-one meeting, and he asked me what my concerns were. Human resources is a real concern, sir. Our employees are a real concern, sir, and them being comfortable with coming and speaking to their city manager, to their human resources department regarding what's going on within the city of Sanford, because we cannot cross the line of where the city manager, the work that he does, it is very important. But there is a spirit of retaliation. There's a spirit of fear when there's supposed to be an open door policy. And I instructed staff to follow procedure, to speak to their city manager, to speak to their human resources department, and they left not feeling secure. So it was my opportunity to speak on behalf of those employees.
And so you said, and if there was an actual issue, because I'm not judge or jury here, but if there was an actual issue, I guarantee you that that employee will make sure that they do not do that at another job because there are heavy consequences. But you help that employee to realize what the issues that they have so they can be a better employee somewhere else.
Exactly. There was an issue with
wait,
no,
I'm
you will
speaking
not
now.
do that.
It is, I
No,
will give you
will
time
not.
to
No,
talk or I
no,
finish.
you will not do that, sir. You
Yes.
constantly do that to me,
I-
Art, and you will not do it tonight. You constantly
Okay,
do
You are
that.
out of order.
Okay.
I have the floor. I will be glad to let you respond.
Okay.
The other thing I know you were upset about was that you weren't able to have Leon checking your emails for you. And I actually have a solution for that so that he can go through your emails and let you know which things you need to respond to. But when I listen to this as a whole, and the fact that you were the one that could end the meeting, I did not see an issue that required a reprimand.
Of course you wouldn't. Now,
Yes, you can.
okay. So an employee was let go that we gave a bonus to, that we paid for their air-conditioned school, that we invested over $500,000 in training, and it was a miscommunication with their P card. So without giving that employee due justice, like we should have done, I thought that it was a waste for us to say, okay, you are able to leave. We're firing you. You walk into a meeting, you're not truly able to defend yourself because you're blindsided. And all of that investment that we put into that single employee, we said, okay, fine. We're done. You go be better someplace else. So now another municipality has that said employee with all of the investment that we have. And we constantly do that. We have people that get their CDL license and they leave. They get the bonuses and they leave. To me, that doesn't make any sense for taxpayers' dollars to go to pay for these employees to sharpen their the sword, to get educated, and then for them to let them go. I did not see where the complete issue was with the P card thing. There was a mistake that happened, but I couldn't go into all of the details because I'm not HR, because I'm not the city manager. That's why I asked for Mr. Bonaparte to look at that. And my conversation with him is not like I would have here at the dais, because it's less professional. It's more conversation with just the city manager and I. And I explained that to me, that made zero sense whatsoever for us to invest that much and let an employee that has been here for 15 years go because of a P card mistake. And I said, that shows other people that if there's an issue, maybe there should have been a demotion or anything else other than us letting an employee go that did not have a history of doing stuff like that over a purchase card, sir. So, and then when I went to Mr. Bonaparte also regarding employees stating that they were being abused, I said the process of that was horrible, because when they went to human resources, a microphone was put in their face and they're afraid of retaliation, especially because their immediate supervisor is in the same room, the same office, and knows kind of what's going on. How does that help? I can't step in there. So I'm asking our city manager to manage, sir, and it's not being done. Now, if I sound frustrated, it's because I've talked about this over and over and over again. I said that it was unfair and it was not right. We should treat our employees how we want to be treated. Also, if you read in the transcript, I asked Mr. Bonaparte, how would you feel, sir, if you were that employee and your boss treated you that way? And when you went to your city commissioner said, you have got to follow protocol. You've got to follow the rules, because we're here to help. Go to HR. And that's how it was dealt with. And I asked him, how would you feel if that happened to you? And I'm constantly asking the city manager, how would you feel if that happened to you? If our businesses are coming and they're complaining, if it's your dollar that's on the bottom line, if it's your employees, if it's your house, if it's your water that's backing up into your toilets, how would you feel? Let's behave like it's us, like it's our bottom line. There is nothing wrong with that.
I agreed with that you had said.
Well, then if you agree with that, then you should have agreed with other stuff too. There is not one time that I've ever sat up here and done something that should not be done or should not be said on behalf of the people of Sanford. And you are always going against it. And if you don't see that we have a problem here, then you're part of it too.
Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, for clarification, the employee that Commissioner Britton was first referring to was accused basically of violating city policy. They were investigated and they chose to retire or resign. Yes, there was going to be disciplinary action because of their actions. They were not fired. They chose to resign.
We always
Okay.
do that.
We
We always
should
do that.
not be discussing
Well, your city
employee
manager brought it up.
issues here
Your city manager
any
brought it up.
further than we already have. We have a motion and a second.
I can interject, but our charter does not allow for the commission to get involved in the city manager's day-to-day activities with the employees.
Exactly.
So they should remove themselves from any employee issues with the city manager or the human resources department or any other staff matter.
I thank you for that, Tracy. I think we should look at the city charter.
We have a motion and a second.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. I hate to interrupt, but in my judgment, this being set forth in the minutes, if it's going to be acted upon, is an inappropriate action because in essence, this is taking an action to reprimand or not reprimand Mr. Bonaparte, which cannot be done in this context. Mr. Bonaparte is entitled to due process himself. If there's an allegation that he should be reprimanded, then he should have the opportunity to defend himself. And it should be done in the context of discipline, not in the context of the minutes. I agree with the minutes.
I agree.
And anything that's been discussed thus far, in my judgment, Tracy's like the deputy city attorney, and I appreciate that, should be done under the provisions of section 2.09 of the charter, which deals with investigations, which says the commission may make investigations into the affairs of the city. That says the commission, not an individual commissioner. The commission may make investigations into the affairs of the city and the conduct of any city department, office, or agency, etc., and may even subpoena. That's the commission's function, not an individual commissioner's function.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. So
You have no minutes. No minutes were approved. Nothing happened.
do those come back at the next meeting?
If you want them to. But once again, I want to restate, I think that even having that language, and I appreciate what Tracy did, putting that in there because that is what was said. That was what was said. But I think that is an adjudication, and an adjudication should not occur except in an appropriate context.
I appreciate what you think.
Okay, we will move on. To facilitate public input, if you plan to speak on an item, if you would please complete the yellow citizens input form and submit it to the box at the back where we picked up and delivered to the front. Public will be given an opportunity to speak on any item before the city commission during a regular meeting. I'll ask if anyone wants to speak on any of the items on the consent agenda before we vote on that. During public hearings, there will be a chance for each under each item to speak. If during regular items you have not filled out a yellow card, if you would raise your hand when you get to the item, you will be recognized. There's a 3-minute time limit for each speaker on each item. During citizens' participation at the middle of the meeting, citizens may address any topic not on the agenda, and there's a 5-minute time limit for citizen comment. Thank you. I forgot to mention that Commissioner Austin is ill and will not be able to be here tonight. Can we get a motion to excuse his absence, please?
Move to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on any of the consent agenda items? And we could have a motion on consent
Move to
A
approve.
through Q, unless the commission wants to pull anything.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. First reading of ordinance 4820, Mr. Group.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, in order to the city of Sanford, Florida, relating to the Sanford Museum Board, repealing all provisions of Part 2, Chapter 2, Division 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sanford, City Code, to include sections 2-201 through 2-203 of the City Code, and amending Part 2, Chapter 2, Division 2, Section 2-121 of the City Code, providing for legislative findings and intent, providing for implemented administrative actions, providing for a savings provision, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification and the correction of scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date. That's the ordinance by title, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, City staff is requesting that the City Commission approve ordinance number 4820 on first reading relating to the repeal of the provisions of the City Code pertaining to the Sanford Museum Board.
Okay, and just to clarify, this is not, we are getting rid of the Sanford Museum Board. We are restructuring it. So it does not have to act under all of the rules of the Sunshine Law. Frequently there are members that are together on other committees or other boards that would like to be able to talk to each other. So this changes it to an advisory group. They will continue with the same function. They just will not have the same formal structure.
And there'll be a resolution to that effect at the second reading.
And they can have however many members they want.
So do they still have to have minutes and do they have to have a quorum?
They will not have to have a quorum. They wouldn't have to have minutes either.
Okay.
All right. So this is a public hearing. Anyone from the audience wish to speak to this item? See no one, I'll close the public hearing, bring it to commission for action.
Move to approve.
Second.
No motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. First reading of ordinance 4821. Mr. Groot.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, an ordinance of the City of Sanford, Florida relating to code enforcement hearings and other hearings, amending the provisions of section 26-36 and section 26-103 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sanford relating to code enforcement hearing officers / special magistrate / selection / code enforcement processes and procedures, providing for implementing administrative actions, providing for a savings provision, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, as well as the correction of scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date. That's the ordinance by title, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, the City staff recommend the City Commission approve ordinance number 4821 on first reading.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone from the audience wish to speak to this item? Okay, just in general, this really is just cleaning up our code so that our code says what we're actually doing in practice, and puts us in a better position to defend any actions by the magistrate. So I bring it to commission.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. First reading of ordinance 4822. Mr. Groot.
This is for an ordinance of the City of Sanford, Florida, annexing by voluntary petition certain real property tax identification parcel number 34-19-30-5AK-0B00-001D, which is generally addressed as 1609 Southwest Road, located contiguous to the City of Sanford, together with associated right-of-way, in accordance with the voluntary annexation provisions of Section 171044 Florida statutes. Redefine the boundaries of the City of Sanford to include said property, amending the boundaries of the city in accordance with the provisions of Section 166031 Florida statutes, providing for findings, providing for conditions, for directing the city clerk to record the ordinance with the clerk of the circuit court, with the chief administrative office of Seminole County, and with the Department of State, providing for legal description and a map, and providing for the incorporation of that exhibit, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, providing for non-codification and the taking of administrative actions, and providing for an effective date. That's the ordinance by title, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Commission, the City staff have reviewed the request for annexation and found the request meets the criteria set forth in the Florida statutes. The property's boundaries are contiguous to the city's boundaries and are reasonably compact. It is therefore the staff's recommendation, City Commission approve the first reading of ordinance number 4822 to annex 0.16 acre at the project address of 1609 Southwest Road as legally described into the City of Sanford.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak to the annexation of? Anyone close the public hearing, bring it to commission for action?
Move to approve.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. First reading of ordinance 4823. Mr. Groot.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, an ordinance of the City of Sanford, Florida, amending the City of Sanford comprehensive plan as previously amended, providing for an amendment of the future land use map of the future land use element of the City of Sanford comprehensive plan relative to certain real property, approximately 0.16 acres or 6,969 square feet in size, located at 1609 Southwest Road within the city limits. Maps relating to the property are attached. Tax parcel identification number 34-19-30-5A key -0B00-001B. Said property being more specifically described in this ordinance, providing for legislative findings and intent, providing for assignment of the land use designation for the property, providing for the adoption of maps by reference, providing for severability, providing for ratification of prior acts of the city, providing for conflicts, providing for codification, directions to the code codifier, and providing for the implementation of the statutory expedited state review process and an effective date. That's the ordinance by title, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission. On March the 6th, 2025, the city's Planning and Zoning Commission voted to recommend that the City Commission approve ordinance number 4823 on first reading, amending the future land use from Seminole County Commercial to City General Commercial on the 0.16 acres at the project address of 1609 Southwest Avenue. It is the staff's recommendation City Commission approve ordinance number 4823.
Ms. Henson? Oh, I have a question about this one. Please. All right, I usually warn you when I'm going to do this, and I forgot.
I was not expecting questions.
You gotta introduce yourself.
Yes, Eileen Hinton, Planning Director, City of Sanford.
Why aren't we going ahead and changing this to single family overall, since the whole use of single family, and that issue was actually, I think, raised at the CAP meeting, that would be the desire of the other residents?
Once we explained to them at Planning and Zoning Commission what was going on, they understood. Basically, the whole area, this map is very zoomed in, but the whole area is still zoned commercial. We can't spot zone one, and we can't do the whole area yet because it's not in the city. So at this point in time, we're allowing them to come in as commercial. And then once they're in as commercial, we do the conditional use to allow the residential. If the area continues to develop as residential, then we can make the determination if residential is the best use for future land use purposes. But as of right now, because it's still spotty, and you can see it's still part in the city and part in the county, it would then be every other, like where it's white would still be red, and then where it's red would then be yellow. So it's not good planning practice at this point to spot zone. It's better for us to just wait until we bring them in and then make a determination as to what the best overall zoning would be.
Yeah, would this be something to add to the ever out there waiting to be done joint planning agreement?
Not really yet.
Okay.
I mean, we're taking appropriate action to allow it to continue to develop as residential. We do have provisions in place that allow residential development in commercial zoning. They just have to do those conditional uses, which come with development orders and restrictions. These sites individually are not large enough to build commercial.
All right.
So,
Thank you. Anybody else have questions for what she's up here?
No, sir.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone from the audience, let's just speak to the slide, please. Move to approve.
Second.
Wait, I gotta close the public hearing, and then bring it to commission. Close the public hearing. Move to approve.
second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Ordinance 4824, Mr. Booth.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, an ordinance of the city of Sanford, Florida, providing for the rezoning of real property totaling 0.168 acres or 6,969 square feet in size. Tax parcel number 34-19-30-5AK AK-0B00-001D, which is generally addressed as 1609 Southwest Road within the city limits. Map of the property attached from the Seminole County Retail Commercial C1 zoning classification to the city's general commercial GC2 zoning district, providing for the taking of implementing administrative actions, providing for the adoption of a map by reference, repealing all conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, providing for non-codification, and providing for an effective date. That's your ordinance by title, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, at their March 6, 2025 meeting, the city's Planning and Zoning Commission voted to recommend that the City Commission approve ordinance number 4824 on first reading, rezoning from retail commercial, Seminole County, to City of Sanford General Commercial, the property located at 1609 Southwest Avenue, based on consistency with the city's comprehensive plan.
When an agenda item involves the quasi-judicial process, commissioners must disclose all ex parte communications, including the name of the communicator and the time, place, and substance of communication. Written communications, commissioners' investigations, site visits, and receipt of expert opinions must also be disclosed and made a part of the record. Persons who have opinions contrary to those expressed in ex parte communication may refute or respond to the communication at their hearing when they make their presentation. In a quasi-judicial process, parties to the proceedings are generally the city and the applicant. Others who have legal standing to appeal the decision can also request to be recognized as a party. Parties are subject to cross-examination and must give their testimony under oath. Persons do not have to be a party to the proceedings to be recognized and provide comments. Members of the public who wish to make comments are not subject to cross-examination and are not sworn as evidentiary witnesses. Comments of the public that provide facts relevant to the application can be considered in the discussion or in the decision. Qualifications of city staff are part of the agenda materials. All testimony and evidence provided in the city commission must be competent material and substantial, and the floor to wall of guide to quasi-judicial proceedings has been published on the city's website, and copies are available on the table in the chambers where the agendas and speaker forms are. Now that I've read all of that, are we going to have, is the applicant planning to testify on that? The applicant even here? All right. Then I could have saved us all about 45 seconds of our lives. So this is a public hearing. Anyone in the audience wish to speak to the rezoning of this property? Do you know when I close the public hearing, bring it commission for action?
Don't we have to say that we have nothing to disclose?
Oh, that's right.
I have nothing to disclose.
Nothing to disclose as well.
Nothing to disclose.
I neither. Thank you, Commissioner Creighton, for reminding me. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. That brings citizen participation. Each speaker is allotted 5 minutes and may present additional written material. And I remind everyone that this is not a time for a back and forth conversation with the commission. If necessary, we can arrange meetings afterwards. Christina Hollerbach.
Christina Hollerbach, 1019 Myrtle Avenue. Good evening, Mayor Woodruff, commissioners, and everyone here tonight. My name is Christina, and I stand before you not just as a business owner, not as someone who has volunteered countless hours to improve the city through committees, Main Street Initiative, and special projects, but also as a resident who cares deeply about Sanford's future. I spent years to help make Sanford stronger, more resilient, more innovative, and I've offered my time and expertise. I participated in task forces, restarted programs, and even brought my concerns directly to you as individuals, believing that cooperation and collaboration would make a difference. But here's the painful truth I've come to realize. The system is broken. Facts don't alone seem to matter. The struggles of business owners don't seem to matter. The frustrations of residents don't seem to matter. The only thing that seems to spur the city into action is the loudest voice in the room or a crisis that can no longer be ignored. That's not leadership, that's damage control. What we have is a culture of reactionary decision-making, a patchwork approach that solves immediate problems just long enough for people to get tired of fighting. Instead of tackling issues with forward-thinking solutions that build a stronger community for everyone, we get temporary fixes designed to make the noise go away. Tonight, you discussed whether to strike words of a commissioner from the record, someone who's simply doing their job by speaking on behalf of the constituents and the people of our city. You make a habit of silencing voices instead of listening to them. And I'm going a little off script. The city, to me, has a philosophy of no because. And even if it wasn't handled the way you thought, offer up a way to solve that problem. If the answer is she didn't do it right, then how are you supposed to do it? With Florida Sunshine State Law, how is somebody supposed to hold the only employee that you guys have purview over accountable? I'd love for you to answer that question. What Sanford needs is leadership that embraces growth, innovation, and accountability. Leadership that doesn't just react to crises, but proactively addresses the underlying systems that cause them. Right now, we are losing talented business owners, dedicated residents, and community advocates who are tired of feeling dismissed and disregarded, and they are in this room tonight. Right now, we need a city manager and a mayor who believe in the culture of collaboration, transparency, and progress, who genuinely care about building systems that work for all of us and not just pacifying the loudest voices until the next crisis emerges. I urge you to recognize that the public is not happy with the direction this leadership is headed, and we deserve better, and we will continue to demand better until it happens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mohammed Rashad, I'm sure the attorney is going to have a comment for us. Mr. Rashad.
I'm here to defend myself, so if you guys want to prevent, or if you get very much to prevent.
Okay, then I'll bring that back up when we get to that issue. You had it down as citizen comment. That's okay. Leon Konechny.
Good evening. It's nice to see so many people, citizens, neighbors here tonight, or people I know. Commissioners, I wanted to, first of all, I wanted you to mark me down. Christina is not happy. You got two in that thing. I want to talk just very briefly about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Someone mentioned that earlier. So there's a lot of good in Sanford. There is. Recently, you voted and worked to give the police department a base pay raise. About time. You did the same for the fire department. About time. I know they're still behind and they're still losing people to Seminole County, but we can talk about that under the bad. There's a lot of events, a lot of people coming into Sanford now. Sometimes they claim they can't find a place to park, but there's always a spot in front of my house available, and I can walk anywhere downtown, so that's not really an issue. And we have at least one commissioner, and not just a single, just only her out, but at least we have one commissioner who will speak her mind and not back down to intimidation. And that's a good thing. So there are a lot of good things happening. Somebody really feels for Sanford and for us. There's bad too. Sanford spends a lot of time doing damage control. Hurricane Ian, the sewer system was just spewing you know what all over the place. That's because it wasn't maintained for many years. Poor infrastructure. Reclaimed water is down right now. People are asking me, what's with the reclaimed water? How come it's up? You know, people are calling me for these things because they don't get a good answer from the city. 1,4-dioxane. The city knew about this many years ago, way before the Sentinel article. And it's been taking a long time to make progress on that. Public relations, open for business. Nobody thinks you're open for business. I mean, maybe you are, but you don't put it out there for people. You know, you use puny statistics to say, well, a permit only spent 7 days, commercial or retail or whatever. That ain't the person's experience. Be honest. SPD continues to be short-staffed. What is it, 17 officers down? We're put a big addition on the city hall for what, the one extra headcount this year? $3.75 million plus all the money spent with the city attorney, the department heads on Heritage Park, money that went nowhere. Then there's the ugly. You know, I guess our infrastructure is a part of that. We won't talk about City Hall building. We all know it's kind of ugly, but that's the way it is. The attempt to have someone unsay something. You can't unsay something. You know, people find that out on Facebook all the time. Somebody says something is said, even if you want to change the minutes. You know, maybe from a legal perspective, that makes sense. It doesn't to me as a citizen. I don't think it makes a sense to a lot of these people to try and redact the minutes. You can't unsay what was said. I'm glad to see we're getting a new city attorney. I don't think we've been well suited for many years by our city attorney. The city manager of St. Augustine spoke to the Sanford Historic Trust some years ago, and he said to us, he said, you know, the city attorney's job is to not say, no, you can't do that. It's to find a way for you to do that. So the city commission should be able to say, this is what we want to go, and you, city attorney, find a way to let us make that happen. And finally, our leadership, City Hall, cronies, good old boys, we're not forward looking. You know, where we were 10 years ago, all we have is a few more bars, a few more people in town. We have no more retail. As a matter of fact, less retail than we had 10 years ago. At least then we had a lot of antique shops that people could go to. Where's our forward thinking? We have the city of, Winter Garden that's been going great guns. We're doing all kinds of things, making it pedestrian friendly. Tonight on the news, Kissimmee, making the downtown more pedestrian friendly. What do we do in Sanford to do that? To encourage people, to encourage pedestrians, to make people want to live and move here. When they try to build an apartment, we get all upset about it. we need more forward thinking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is procurement services for Northgate Limited. Mr. Dunbar.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission. City staff is requesting City Commission approval of services for Northgate Limited for miscellaneous repair parts. And this is for repair plant for the plant maintenance for the Northgate.
Questions or motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Budget transfers.
Yes,
Mr.
Mr.
Dunbar.
Mayor, the city staff is requesting City Commission approval of a number of budget transfers totaling $579,000. The first budget transfer is for generator replacement in the amount of $71,000. The second budget transfer is the Grove View project, which increased the budget by $154,000. And the third is a budget transfer for the lift station for amount of $354,000. These funds are available in the Capital Utilities Machine Equipment account.
Questions or motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Emergency procurement.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission. The city staff is requesting approval of emergency procurement from Celanus for polymer and conjugate chemicals, and these are needed for the utility fund, and the amount is $7,786.
Questions or motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Budget transfer for Tucker check.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners, the city staff is requesting a budget approval transfer and associated procurement for utility engineering consulting services from Tetra Tech Consulting Services for the contract for the Site 10 reclaimed water pump station and reclaimed water flow control improvements project.
Questions or motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Approved sole source.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, city staff is requesting the approval of a sole source of procurement from Tafala Machinery Equipment. The estimated cost for the pumps is $83,530. It is estimated the cost for the replacement pumps for the remainder of the fiscal year is $75,000, bringing the total aggregate to $158,530.
Questions or motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion or second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Sole source.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, city staff is requesting City Commission approval of sole source procurement for Stryker stretcher and the power load for Rescue 40 in the amount of $70,322.72. And this is for the Fire Station 40.
Okay, and this is the one that's being built now, right?
Correct.
Question or motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any second for discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. The memorandum of agreement with Immigration and Customs.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, City Police Chief believes that entering to the memorandum of agreement with the ICE will ensure that the city is compliant with the demands of the state and noted the city will attain compliance and only need to ensure that the prerequisite law enforcement officers meet the minimum crime training requirements for this agreement. It is therefore the staff's recommendation, City Commission approve this.
And I was hoping we could have Chief Smith come down and sort of give an overview of this, because I apparently was not doing a great job trying to clarify it for people today. Chief Smith.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, citizens. Regardless of how we generally feel about what's taking place across our country with regards to this MOU, two things that are definite. The state of Florida and the United States government has required us to participate in this program. Some people have the idea that our guys are going to be out searching, checking people, running around and looking for individuals. That's not the concept with regards to what this is doing. Our goal is to be available should we get a phone call or request from ICE or DHS to assist. We will assign an officer to go through the training to ensure that we are in compliance with both state and federal requirements. And therefore, we will be in line with our requirements as set forth by the governor and the president.
So I think you said it. One officer will be trained.
We'll have an officer who will be trained and assigned. And so that if people understand that officer will only be assigned to ICE and DHS when they are called upon to participate in any of the programs or issues and concerns that they are doing within our jurisdiction.
All right. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, I just wanted to be clear. So you're saying one officer, what if the city is called upon to assist with and need more than one officer?
Generally, what will end up happening is what should occur is that they will call us to do what's called deconflicting. Deconflicting means that they are operating within the organization, operating within the city. So if they notify us that they're doing an operation in the city and they request for transport, we have provided transport for them to a facility for processing, whether that's to Seminole County Jail or wherever that's going to be. That's no different than what we're doing right now. We have one officer who will be here in the event that one of our officers encounters an individual who is wanted on any of the administrative warrants and have the ability to assist in detention or detaining that individual. But beyond that, that officer allows us to be within compliance with the federal government.
Okay, and make sure I and everyone else understands. So these administrative warrants are issued by ICE, right? Okay. We cannot act on those warrants unless one of our officers cannot act on that warrant unless they are trained.
Correct.
Okay.
Chief, I have a number of questions. In the memorandum of understanding of agreement, it says that we will render assistance when called upon by other law enforcement agencies when involved in lawful operations. Do we have somebody who's going to verify that they are committing or conducting lawful operations?
I believe if we get a phone call from ICE, DHS, FBI, or any of those organizations,
we're just going to trust them to.
We will. I'm going to assume that what they're doing is going to be trustworthy.
Okay, thank you. And next, it also says that agencies will partner with state and local LEAs to identify and remove criminal aliens who are amenable to removal from the United States. Sounds to me like they have a choice of whether or not they want to be removed.
That's not a decision of our officers. That's going to be a decision through ICE and DHS.
Thank you. Next, the executive order is called Protecting the American People Against Invasion. Do we think we're getting invaded here? That's a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer it. I think somebody had made the statement that this would not be a cost to the city, but in section 10 of this document, it talks about costs and expenditures. Participating LEA personnel will carry out designated functions at the LEA's expense, including salaries, benefits, local transportation, and official issue material. Whether or not the LEA receives financial reimbursement for such costs through a federal grant or other funding mechanism is not material to this MOA. I'm not sure what they're trying to say there, Mr. Groot, but it concerns me a little.
Well, one of the things that I'll give you an example is we have officers who are assigned to CCIB, which is the City County Investigative Bureau. Those officers are essentially paid by us to participate in investigations here in Seminole County, as well as in the city of Sanford. We pay their salary, we pay their overtime, and so essentially this will be equal to what we're doing with them. Likewise, we have officers who are assigned to DEA. The only difference in this case is that we do get reimbursement for overtime, and we may participate in any illegal funds that may be captured. But presently, we are actually functioning in that capacity right now.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, that it is the same. In some respects, it may be. In some respects, it may not be, because in the cases you mentioned, we're not doing it as a political stunt. We also are talking about personnel expenses, administrative supplies, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it sounds to me like we're going to be not only taking a person away from things that they could otherwise be doing to keep our city safe, for something that could to some people be interpreted as a political stunt. It just, it doesn't sit well with me. Now, again, Chief, nothing against you here. This is not against you. It's just this whole process of what we're having to do here, or allegedly having to do, and I'm not even sure about that. It also talks about interpreters. Participating LEA personnel will provide an opportunity for subjects with limited English language proficiency to request an interpreter. Qualified foreign language interpreters will be provided by the LEA. So are we prepared to do that? And if so, does that mean another expense to hire one?
No, actually, we have officers who speak several languages. We also have the use of a language line that officers have access to as well.
Okay.
Presently.
No additional expense there. All right. I think that's the extent of my questions. Again, please don't take those personally.
Not at all, ma'am. As I indicated in the beginning, regardless of our feelings about what's taking place, we are essentially mandated to participate in this. And we believe that our the program that we are putting in place will satisfy that requirement.
Understood.
Right. Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Right. Then do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Passes 3-1. Thank you, Chief. The bid to Condor Construction, Mr.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, city staff recommend the City Commission find Condor Construction to be the lowest responsive and responsible bidder and award a contract and procurement services to the vendor in the amount of $2,393,484.60, with the city retaining the contingency amount of $306,515.40 relative to the project, which may be used for the project associated costs and services. And this is for the Second Street Improvement Project.
Okay. Funding of which is coming from our community redevelopment agency.
That's correct.
All right. Questions or motion?
Move to approve.
Second. Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Retroactive approval of emergency procurement.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, city staff is requesting the commission to retroactively approve an emergency procurement for a gravity sewer repair at State Road 46 in Palmetto. The gravity sewer line was damaged when caused by a depression and dangerous situation between the two lanes of traffic on State Road 46 in Palmetto Avenue. Emergency crews were needed to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of the motorists. The emergency repair area is part of the Florida Department of Transportation State Road 46 project, which is currently under construction. Failure to make the emergency repairs in an expedited manner would have been resulted in the city paying the Florida Department of Transportation contractors for unexpected delays.
Questions or motion?
Move to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Resolution 3364.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, city staff is requesting the commission to approve Resolution 3364 relating to the request of the Board of County Commissioners of Seminole County to convey a parcel of property owned by the county to the city. The city will benefit by assembling this county-owned parcel into a stormwater management project, and the city is developing for the public and the abutting city-owned property. The county will benefit by not needing to maintain the parcel and avoiding its misuse. And the city will also benefit by not having to have property misused under that code. Both properties are currently tax exempt properties and not subject to ad valorem taxes.
Questions or motion? Move to approve. Second. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Resolution 3365.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission decided to hold this until another meeting.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we don't need to continue that? No. Okay. So then we'll move on to Resolution 3366.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, city staff is requesting commission to approve Resolution 3366 to amend the budget in the amount of $350,000 to increase the utilities repair and maintenance account for rentals, lease, etc. This is an amount of $72,000. The increase is for the budget of $350,000, and funds are available in the city's 2024 capital replacement fund.
Move to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
And this is to keep a generator at the treatment plant. Is that right? Okay. Until we got our new one? Okay, thank you. Okay, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Resolution 3367.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, city staff is requesting commission approval of Resolution 3367 to amend the budget in the amount of $90,000 to increase the purchase order for additional services related to the Phase 3 Advanced Meter Infrastructure Meter Deployment Consulting Services for the Mass Meter Exchange Project.
Questions or motion?
Why do we have so many budget amendments? I mean, it seems like the last couple of meetings, I'm seeing a lot. I thought that like many of the things that we budgeted for are spelled out in the original, purchase orders. So what is the ask here? I'm seeing it's 90,000 and then 80,000. What department is this?
Utilities.
Utilities. Is anybody here from utilities? Because I'm seeing this a lot, and we've got to be mindful of what we're doing with these dollars. I don't know what the original purchase order was, the amount was for, but we're increasing.
Yes, ma'am. Brent Johnson, Public Works and Utilities Director. The amount that you referenced is we're requesting a budget amendment of $90,000. However, the additional services from ZHA is for $88,000. So we just asked for a little bit more to be transferred versus what was actually needed.
So what's the total ask?
The total ask is $90,000 transfer.
Okay.
$90,000 amendment.
One more time?
$90,000 amendment, budget amendment.
Okay, and so what the 88,000 we're not approving tonight.
Yes, that's the amount not to exceed by ZHA. We just instead of doing 88, we did $90,000 just to give ourselves a little bit of a cushion. I mean, we could have done 88,000.
What was the original amount for purchase order 40003?
That is a finance. I don't remember. That's an old purchase order. That's a finance question.
Okay, and so what's the need for the 90?
So ZHA is the consultant that we have on board for our meter exchange program. As a part of ZHA services, we utilize SO Circo, and they're the technology side of it, if you will. And so as we continue to proceed through the project, which at this point, I think we have about 18,000 out of the roughly 26,000 meters that we have to replace.
Mm-hmm.
We've run into certain things that have caused us to have to have them provide more services to us, which is why I know you asked the question, why is it that we make these budget amendments or have additions to the PO? It's because on most projects, you run into what they call unforeseen conditions. It's just things that we aren't aware of when we first implement the project. It's just like construction. If you're digging, you run into things on the ground that you're just not aware of.
Mm-hmm.
This is no different than that. We run into things that we like to call snags here and there, and unfortunately requires us to pay the consultant additional funds.
So what is it that we can do in the future so that we don't run into all of these snags? Because I can understand additional 10K here, additional 15, but when we're hitting 50,000, 100,000, 150K, I mean, that means that obviously we're not budgeting correctly or thinking about what are the additional accidentals that might be happening. And then that's where a lot of wasted money comes in. So what could we do in the future so that we don't have all of these issues? Especially that's what the purchase order is for, to line out everything that we're supposed to have.
Absolutely. Well, it's hard to completely eliminate those things. I mean, we do our best to forecast what's going to be needed on these projects. Unfortunately, things do come up that we're not aware of. As hard as we may try to, as I stated, forecast, you just don't know.
Okay.
I can understand where Commissioner Britton is coming from, because I think to anybody who reads through all of the minutes, they might say, it feels feels like 90% of these are utilities, and what's really happening here, and why are we amending the budget? When I try to look at this from a big picture perspective, and you and I have talked about this, that we don't talk about capital improvement projects during these discussions. We're just talking about specific issues that we need to address. It might seem like Band-Aid solutions, but they're fixes we need to make. I wish we were all accountants so that we could come in here and specifically say that number is not right. We're spending too much money there. So, we're asking the questions we need to ask here. Mm-hmm. Are we spending the right money? Are we doing the right fixes? Are we thinking long-term about the best way to solve our problems? Because we have very aging infrastructure. Mm-hmm. We need to address that. And I think we will. But in the meantime, it might seem like there are a lot of utilities budget amendments here, and there are some, but I think you're given the right answers on you can't predict everything. But if it ends up seeming like we're predicting nothing, then we need to find a happy medium of doing a better job.
And this is a project to expand how many meters?
25,000.
Yeah, it's a lot of.
Now, to your point, I mean, sometimes we go into a project and we have a certain scope. And sometimes that scope expands as well because we realize at some point it's either just fix these other things or doing this. Well, not necessarily scope addition to the scope, just to fix some additional issues that may have come up. It varies as to why. Sometimes we may get estimates from vendors, and the estimate may not have included certain things that we needed or something that we found out later that we needed. And so now we have to change it. It could be related to the design itself. Maybe there was something that was wrong with the design that wasn't taken into consideration. So there are a lot of factors that go into a lot of these budget amendments.
Working hard on them, Mr. Johnson.
And I'd point out the original purchase order is in our materials. It was $300,000.
Okay.
All right. So did we have a motion on that one yet?
Move to approve.
Second. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Resolution 3368.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, the city staff is requesting the commission approve resolution number 3368 and amend the budget on the procurement of the fire hydrant replacement and fire hydrant maintenance, repair, and replacement from R&M Service Solutions. The budget amendment is worth $41,834 and is needed to cover the cost of the fire maintenance, repair, and replacement in the total budget, which was $240,609. Funds are available in the utility water capital account.
Okay, so Mr. Johnson, because I'd asked you about this one because this is not the company that we had been using. So this is to get 20 of them done right away while we're waiting for the bigger contract from the other company. Did I understand that correctly?
For the most part, yes. So the prior contractor that we had, or we're still using, is Hydromax. They're finishing up some activity until such time that they have another contract in place that we can then piggyback. But we understand that there's an urgency and a need to get these fire hydrants back up. So instead of waiting for them to get another contract that we can piggyback, we're going to move forward with R&M so that they can replace the 20 hydrants that need to be replaced. But that cost, in addition to the replacement of the hydrants, is for some line stops and some other work related to those hydrants. But that is the reason. We just didn't want to prolong this effort.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Okay.
And we have a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Resolution 3369.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, city staff is requesting commission approval of resolution 3369 and interlocal agreement with the Sanford Airport Authority and amendment of the guaranteed maximum price for the new fire station 40, resulting in a modified stormwater conveying system that is required by the St. Johns River Management District.
Questions or a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
You didn't seem sure.
Quickly.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's a lot of money for stormwater.
It is. And this is modified stormwater conveying system as required by St. Johns River Water. So they're requiring that.
I don't know.
I don't think I have a question here.
Somebody wants to explain that one or not.
Who's up?
Basically, it's us partnering with the airport so that we can take care of our stormwater from the new fire station. They can take care of stormwater from some development property. And by doing it off-site, it makes more valuable property on the airport proper developable. Chris Smith is agreeing with everything I said there.
Proper answer.
Okay. So it is expensive. It's not much more than what we were expecting for just our station, and it makes a better.
We would have had to pay about 1.2.
Okay, so it's actually a saving. It's actually a savings then. Well, the
1.8.
the airport's paying 1 million,
The airport paying 1.
so we're paying 875. Okay, yeah. So it's all going to go through our contractor, so it'll look like our fire station costs an extra 1.8 million, but the airport's paying us $1 million. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Then we had a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. City attorney comment. You have a couple of items for us.
Yes, I have a couple of add-on, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. The first one is the item that Eileen Henson and I discussed at the work session, which is authorizing zoning in progress to be initiated relative to properties around the Orlando Sanford International Airport and other places in the environments of that property, which would specifically, we think, relate to Schedules U and R of the land development regulations. So we're asking that the city commission initiate zoning in progress. And Commissioner Thomas is correct. The recipient is misspelled in the agenda memo.
That will be corrected.
So to clarify what we're doing here, we're basically just putting everyone on notice that we're looking at updating regulations, and rather than waiting until those regulations are done, we will work with anybody that's doing any development to meet the new regulations, so they're ready to go as soon as the regulations
You
are.
put the development committee on notice and you're allowing staff to engage in potential developers relative to incipient land development regulation.
What does that word mean?
Incipient with the
Coming up
C,
first.
incipient with the C and
It's
incipient
not
with an S mean totally different things.
Well, what does C mean?
C means something that will occur in the future that is ongoing, that will progressing to an end.
Soon
Okay.
to a theater near you.
All right. Thank you. All right. So questions or motion?
I move to approve. We
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimously.
The second item, Mr. Mayor, relates to the authorization to file a lawsuit relating to the property at 101 East First Street. The owner would be Big Bubba Investments LLC. There was extensive discussion at the work session this afternoon. The issue would be presented before the court to order the respondent property owner to both adhere to the city code and permitting requirements of the city code, and potentially to undo work that has been done in violation of the city code and without a permit.
Should we have Mr. Armando give a brief rundown on what we talked about at the work session? There are so many people here.
Mr. Mayor, I think that would be helpful to provide the background.
And then we have a request from Mr. Rashad to speak.
Good evening, mayors, members of the commission, Tony Raimondo again, Development Services. I know we covered a lot earlier in the evening, Mayor, in terms of a summary. What are you looking for?
A summary.
The elevator speech.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't need to go into every detail, but just sort of the outline. And then if there are questions.
This, in summary, I became aware of the project in about 2021. We tried numerous times to get over several obstacles, several hurdles.
It became a Herculean task, really. What we did do was we conceded an early start permit to get them in there, get some demo work done, get the project moving while we resolved those issues. Those issues, and by the way, that early permit start and the applicants were saved them hundreds of thousands of dollars doing that. They were very thankful. While we were working on those issues, we tried to expedite the vacate process to the alley and even proposed, based on the recommendation of staff, giving them air rights so that the catwalks could go across and connect with the building. We continued to work on the site plans, but the site plans just could not get done. And the project was important to us. We wanted to preserve the building. We wanted to preserve what was in the building. And so as a concession, what we did was we crafted a development order with the help of staff that allowed Mr. Rashad, the owner of floors 2 and above, to go in and start an interior construction of the building, not the outside, while he was working through the site development issues, which were really the problematic issues. It even got to the point where, against my staff's recommendations, Mr. Rashad asked for a sketch. What would a successful parking lot look like? And staff said, well, don't do this. He's going to use it against us. I pushed harder just to go that extra mile. And with the help of Mr. Smith, a sketch was produced. But it wasn't engineered. It was just a sketch of this is what you could do. And of course, they resubmitted that very sketch as their proposal for the site. It just wasn't going to make muster. So we continued to work through those difficulties. In the meantime, Mr. Rashad secured a certificate of appropriateness from the Historic Preservation Board to demo the pump house outside. Now that demolition was contingent upon 3 things: obtaining a certificate of appropriateness, obtaining a building permit, and obtaining a site development permit. And Mr. Rashad secured 2 of those 3 things, but never got a site development permit approved. We showed up at work one morning, and the pump house was gone. I sent code enforcement down. They cited him, placed a stop work order at the location, and it eventually goes before the magistrate who rules on the matter and determined that the violation did in fact occur, and began fining Mr. Rashad $1,000 per day until the problem was remedied. Last week, my staff told me they were going out to look at the site because they believed construction might be occurring. Frankly, I didn't believe them. There's no way that this is happening. And then they sent me the pictures. And what had happened was that on the property at 101 East First Street, here in the bridges of Wells Fargo Bank building, they have begun construction on that tower. It was improper. There were no permits. You will recall I said we gave him an interior start permit only. And it's well documented on the permit itself. We have copies of it with us this evening if for some reason you'd like to see it. But they extended that permit to the outside and began constructing a tower. It's on a separate slab that requires its own individual permit. And you'll recall that original certificate of appropriateness was only for demolition. That to reconstruct, there's going to have to be an additional certificate of appropriateness obtained by the Historic Preservation Board. Never done. Not done. And then finally, there's evidence to suggest somebody's living in the building now. This weekend, what I did was I placed somebody there to watch it to ensure that construction did not occur again until such time as the commission decides whether or not obtaining an injunction is appropriate. And what that enforcement officer reported back was that if somebody goes in the building at 9:30 at night, one light comes on in one building, and the power source is an extension cord run out of a window onto the city's right-of-way into our landscaping electricity. This is not unprecedented. This has happened before. I've spoken to the owner about this and asked him to discontinue this. In fact, the police threatened the person doing it at the time, which was a vendor, not Mr. Rashad, with arrest because of theft of services. So, long story short, Mayor and members of the commission, is I've used every toolbox in my toolbox. I have nothing else. What I'm asking that you do is consider an injunction against the property owner and basically enjoin them and so that a judge basically demands a couple things. One is that you stop violating the rules. And and then you remedy the problems that exist. My resources are played out, but if a judge issues this order, then the penalties go up significantly, and there could be criminal sanctions involved, which is unfortunately where we are at, because we have to preserve the building, we have to make sure things are being done reasonably, in a reasonable and safe manner. And it's come to my attention now that we're like on our third iteration of sewer, and it looks like the hole that's been dug is in conflict with the sewer that's been run potentially. That has to be evaluated. So we have to stop what's happening. We have to obtain proper permits and certificates of appropriateness. And I think we just need teeth. We need somebody other than Tony Raimondo in code enforcement and development services champion this cause. We need the help of judiciary. Did I miss anything?
All right, any questions? Mr. Rashad had asked me to speak. Mr. Rashad.
Mr. Mayor, you had mentioned I might have a comment about that. Obviously, listen to Mr. Rashad, you know, but I caution you about engaging him in any communications. Litigation is on the horizon, and anything you engage with him about could place you on the witness stand or jeopardize city's position in this case.
Mr. Rashad.
Good evening, everybody. So I bought the building in October of 21, and then I submitted a permit. So my very first permit had a 21 number next to it. With the kindness of Mr. Raimondo and the building official, they gave me an early start in April of 22. Then in August of 22, Ms. Henson asked that, we stop the work because we needed a site development plan. So this whole problem started early on, and there was going back and forth between me and staff. Kind of like, I think it's a personal, a lot of personal issues there. Anyways, back to the building department. 19 months took me back and forth submitting plans, to the point that I ran into the commercial plan reviewer on his break in front of my building that asked me, if I were you, I would fire my architect. So this is Wayne Thorne, that's a commercial plan reviewer, asked me to fire my architect. I brought that to Mr. Raimondo's attention, and he told me that, Mr. Thorne was going to be reprimanded. Mr. Thorne was still there looking at my plans. I even asked Mr. Bonaparte that I requested that this particular plan reviewer not to review my plans. And he told me I cannot do anything. Then Mr. Raimondo came and suggested to me that I do a third-party plan review and inspection. So I told him, this actually sounds good. So going back and forth for 19 months with the building department and, the whole mess over there, I got approved. The very same plans got approved by Universal Engineering and Science. Not the plans, there were no comments, nothing. And including 8 sheets, sheets, structural sheets that discussed the elevator, the foundation, that everybody knew about that. So I was given a permit, BC 23. So now we're in year number 23, 2023, 2 years to get my building permit. I go apply for a demo permit for the pump house. Mr. Assistant City Manager happened to sit with me at the HPB board, and he saw that they actually agreed for me to demolish, not to build anything till I get my SDP. Then things were twisted. And then you can ask Mr. Raimondo how the order of things. You apply, it goes in citizen serve, it goes to every department, so, put their stamp of approval. And the very last department that issues that permit is the building department. So the building department calls me and said, hey, your permit is ready. Come pay the fees and pick it up. I come pay the fees and pick it up. The next day we're doing demo. And then I'm yanked into a magistrate being told that, I violated this and that and the other, made a big old scene charging me $1,000 a day for this whole thing. Okay, and then what did they say? They asked me to do? Well, we are going to stop this $1,000 if you actually get your SDP. So the magistrate looking at me, the very first time, he's looking at the code enforcement folks and asking them, so what's going on with this? They said like, oh, we issued a permit in error. That's the code enforcement personnel saying to the magistrate, we issued a building permit in error or a demo permit in error. And I am getting prosecuted for this. Everybody's slicing and dicing on me, charging me $1,000. So I said, you know what? Maybe something good can come out of this, which is, what do you need, Mr. Rashad, to get this $1,000 bleeding a day to stop? And they said, okay, well, you need to get your SDP. So go ahead. And then the magistrate's asking me, so can you get your SDP? I told Mr. Magistrate, I applied for my SDP in 2022. 2 years ago, I applied. We were still in 24. What I'm trying to ask staff today, do I have my site plan permit fully? And the answer is yes. I got that on Thursday, 2 days ago, which was late because they actually cashed my permit fees 2 weeks ago. And the personnel, the engineer, actually cashed the check, shook my hands, and told me, Mr. Rashad, I'm gonna let everybody know that you are approved. And since we have done a pre-construction meeting for the utility side of things, because they actually split my SDP or my site development plan into half, and utility part, and then the full part where the configuration. I have been backwards for it, Mr. Ramondo. He asked me to include a dumpster enclosure to house all my neighbors that have no rights into my parking lot. And I told him, tell me what to do, I'll do it. And then he told me, and this is right after one of those magistrate meetings. And then he tells me hey, so what guarantees them that you're not going to kick them out after this is all said and done? I told him, Tony, write whatever you want, your language, your attorney, and I'm going to sign for it. I told him from day one, I wanted nothing but a permit. I did not ask for anything. I allowed the public to park into my parking lot for 2 years. And it was actually recommended from a director that's no longer here for me. He told me, you know what, Mohammed, if you want something done, tell him you're going to start towing people. And that's what I did. I told, we're all aware of this incident. I told you guys, listen, this is a private property. I don't want nobody. Mr. Vermondo told me, well, I'm going to find sanctions. I'm going to find a way to put some code enforcement on you. And he did, so he will find a way to orchestrate this. Last, I actually came when they did the stop work order. So let me tell you something. I have a permit, approved plans. I have an affidavit of approved plans for Universal Engineering and Science that has all my project, interior and exterior, anything that my building permit that included 8 sheets, S sheets, structural sheets approved. So I go to Mr. Ramondo's office on Wednesday. So I sit down, he's bringing in building official, deputy building official, couple of people from code enforcement. And then he stands up and he told me man, you started to do this again. You work without a permit. And so I'm listen, you have to respect me. You cannot talk to me. You do not talk to me like this. I'm not one of your boys. You do not talk to me like this. He said, one of your boys, get the hell out of my office. So he kicks me out of his office. And then before that, he tells me, I almost had you carted to jail. Okay? So if any director tells me I almost had you carted to jail has some weight to it, and then if somebody who actually used to be the deputy chief police of Sanford for how long is telling me this, you tell me, how do I feel? So I run outside and I call Craig Radzak. It goes to voicemail. I walk down to Mr. Bonaparte's. Mr. Bonaparte's is not at his desk. I leave him a message with his secretary. I still have not heard back from him. Then I walk back and I sit by Public Works waiting for Mr. Radzak to come back. Mr. Radzak comes back. He takes me into his office. He summons Mr. Raimondo to his office. Mr. Raimondo apologizes to me. He apologizes to me for telling me to get the hell out of his office and to tell me that I almost carted you to jail. So this is what happened to me. Okay? So I sent, somebody with the grace of God, sends me a memo Saturday night. I had no idea of what's going on today. This whole thing was orchestrated. Mr. Armando apologized to me. As a man, I honor this, and I shook his hand. And I always told him, I look at you as my older brother. And this is in front of his boss, Mr. Radzak. And then he sits down, we calm down. I told him, like, Tony, the whole thing is, I have a permit. I have approved plans. Just because the scope of work that was written down by my architect almost 3.5 years ago that says interior work, you're judging me by this? I told him, like, I did not do any work on the outside except when I got my site plan. I have approved plans for my elevator shaft. Is this all necessary? This is what I'm asking you guys. Don't you see that this is a waste of time and waste of money, a waste of taxpayers' money? You can ask Mr. Radzak. I emailed him this morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. I told him, Craig, have you seen it? Do you know anything about this? And I sent him the memorandum of what Mr. Tony and Mr. Groot, with the blessing of Mr. Bonaparte, orchestrated over, the weekend. And I asked him, do you know any? Assistant city manager replied to me, he does not know anything about this. So let's just talk about leadership. Here's a director that's bypassing his direct boss, even though he sat down with me and you can even ask Mr. Radzak. He even said, this is a rubber stamp. We have already, as of this moment, applied for the building permit, uploaded the approved elevator shaft and the structural sheets that are approved with Universal, have applied with the notice to building official to basically, this is the procedure to go to the, not to deal with the city, because God knows I don't want to deal with the city, nothing. I don't want to even see anybody of them. And I tried to stay away, and I stayed away. They find a way to come pick at me. And last but not least, if you guys are thinking I'm working without a permit, you can check the records, and I have them on my phone. When you actually are dealing with Universal Engineering and Science, a third-party plan reviewer and inspector, on Tuesday, I have requested a footing inspection. You know what happens when you file for order an inspection with Universal? They reply to you, your architect, building official, and the mailbox that's building@sanfordfl.gov. So the building official knew about this on Tuesday. I'm not doing anything in the dark. We had this done for the longest time. I've had everybody from the city walking around back and forth. What's this hole? Oh, this is for the elevator shaft. And then in this memorandum, they're saying like, oh, they dug deep and this and that. Have you looked at the approved plans? I have a 5-foot pit for the elevator, and we dug a 9 feet deep because we have 3 feet of gravel and 2 feet of concrete. We have the gravel down, we have the form and the rebar, and we called for inspection. Does that sound to you like somebody is doing something without a permit? I'm calling the institution that I'm dealing with directly, which is not the city, is the third party. And in that process, they notify the city. So Mr. Raimondo shook my hands on Wednesday, back and forth emails on Thursday, and they said this is a rubber stamp. They even, the code has changed for the elevator shaft, and Universal told me, since the code has changed, if you're going to have to file again, we're going to have to review it again. So Mr. Fury, told me, don't worry about that. I'm going to tell them that this has been approved. So we should just move on. So this is a rubber stamp. Out of his mouth, a rubber stamp, just filed for a permit. And I'm asking him, like, are you happy now that I have to go through this whole mess? This was the last 3 days in Ramadan. Today is my feast. This is like my celebration. I'm being dragged and everybody's mocking me on Facebook. Everybody's calling me names. Everybody's bringing my past and everybody's, this was unfair. This is wrong. I have been wrong. And he apologized to me. Now he's coming behind my back and orchestrating this whole thing for what? They take me to, I have $4 million into this building plus $1 million in the purchase price. I have $5 million of my money. I have no loans. I have nothing against my building. And I'm proud of this. And he wants to take me to court. He tells me I'm going to cart you to jail. So you guys tell me, am I wrong? And does this like take all this, your time and everybody else? Commissioner Sheena, when I met her 3 years ago, she told me, Mohammed, your building has been vacant ever since I was a little girl. And I'm glad somebody's doing something. Everybody knew that the elevator inside the building was not ADA compliant. Everybody knew. And Mr. Ramondo, thank you so much. You've helped me a lot. You have helped me a lot through so many different things. I just don't know why you helped me from one side and then come try to backstab me from the other. I just don't get it. And then all the accusation. Oh, you're trying to do a little bit here and there and then sell it. I wanted to name the building after my mom. My mom passed in 2020. My mom's name is Sophia. And I wanted to call the tower the Sophia Tower. Does that sound to somebody that wants to sell this building and slap anything here and there and then just slap it and sell it and try to make a buck here and there? Which there is nothing wrong with that. But he would look me in the eye and tell me like, I was a cop. Tell me, as soon as you get that permit, you're going to sell this property. I told him like, Tony, if I sell the property in any time before I finish it, I'm not capitalizing fully on this. And this is, I'm looking at this is like my retirement. How many times I sat with Mr. Bonaparte talking about a garage? Is this how you're welcoming somebody that you tell me a garage, I tell you let's go. You tell me hey, team up with Dan Matthews and put some work together. We did 6 to 9 months, me and Dan collaborating, putting work together to build a garage that's needed for for Sanford. And back and forth, and nothing happens after that. Okay. So
can you go ahead and wrap it up, please?
I'm good. I'm done. So in conclusion, I think I'm treated badly, but I'm forgiving everybody. I forgive you, Tony. I forgive you, Eileen. I forgive everybody that talked ill about me on Facebook or whatever it is. I've already applied for the permit. Do you think I put $5 million into this building to go back and try to do work without a permit?
Okay.
I hope you guys see the truth here and let me finish. Just give me my permit. Let me work. That's all I'm asking. I do not ask for any help from anybody, but to give me a permit and let me work.
I thought you said you had the permit.
I do, but now they wanted me to get this other building permit for the accessory. So I applied for it and they said we're going to push it through and help you get this quick. But I have my site development permit. So all my site development permit, I have it. The building permit, I had it 2 years ago from Universal Engineering and Science. Now they want me to just seclude the elevator shaft from the outside and have it on a separate permit. I applied for it just to get things moving. There was no reason for fighting anything. But I was acting as if that permit included that. When you have plans in a submittal that includes an elevator, that does not mean that you're just getting approval for it and not building it. Or what are you getting approval for it to do? To just take pictures next to the air? Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Should I go?
Yeah, you can sit back down.
Okay.
Okay, sir. There are questions. Okay. So can Universal Engineering issue a building permit?
No.
No,
Okay.
we're not. I want to make some clarifications. The plans that Universal.
State your name, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Amy Michaels. I'm the development permitting manager for the building division. I want to clarify that the permit that, the plans that Universal reviewed did have a full set of plans. This was for interior work only, which was specifically stated on the permit, which means he does not have a permit for the elevator shaft. It was shown on the plans. I reviewed thousands of plans throughout my career. You can show dumpster enclosures, you can show elevator shafts, you can show these things on a set of plans that are reviewed, but it's the scope of work that's approved. And the scope of work that was approved was for the interior work to be done on the building, nothing on the exterior. So he does not have a permit for the elevator shaft. That did come in today. However, we had to, it came in as the wrong permit type. We had to correct that. So it did come in today, and it will start to go through the review process. But there is not an approved permit for the elevator shaft. We only have an approved permit through the city of Sanford for the interior work only at this point.
Okay, so the site plan has been approved.
The site development permit has been issued.
Okay, what does a site development permit allow you to do?
Okay, so he's got two. One is for the utilities, which we have spoken about, and then one is for the site work that would entail correcting the parking lot. So any landscaping, any horizontal surface work, and horizontal surface work only.
Okay, what other permit based on the plans? Wait, the universal plans show just interior, or they show the entire project?
The plans showed the entire project, but they were only reviewing for the internal, interior renovations only, and that was what was within the scope of work.
So we don't think Universal Engineering reviewed anything except just a minute, please. Reviewed anything except the interior work?
They may have looked at the whole set of plans, but the building department only approved the interior work, nothing else that was on the plan.
How will we know whether Universal reviewed all of the plans or only reviewed a part of the plan?
Because he did not have a site development plan at that time, we were only allowed to have them review for the interior because no exterior site work could be completed without the site development permit.
Okay, so what permits does he need?
He'll need a permit for the elevator shaft. He'll need permits for dumpster enclosures. He'll need permits. He'll need regular building permits. There's a misconception that when a site plan comes in, that everything that's shown on that plan, once the site development plan is approved through planning, they're approved to go out and start construction. That is not the case. They still have to apply for individual permits for things like the dumpster enclosures, interior work, the elevator shaft, windows, doors. They need permits for all of that besides the site development plan itself. The site development plan says that you can do this through planning, but you still need building permits so that we can ensure that it meets the Florida building code.
Okay. Did y'all explain that to Mr. Rashad, what permits he would need?
Yes, the building official did explain that to him on several different occasions.
Eileen, did you?
Yeah, the certificates of appropriateness are currently all expired. In addition, the one that was issued for the demolition on the pump house, which also will require a permit, was specifically for the demolition, as Mr. Raimondo noted before. It says specifically in the development order that the aforementioned application for certificate of appropriateness is approved, provided that the HPB does not approve any new construction, specifically limits its approval to the demolition of the pump house, and with the condition that a site development permit be approved and issued prior to the demolition. It goes on from there, but it's basically, it was approved contingent and concurrent with the site permit.
And to answer your question, Mayor, yes, this was explained to Mr. Rashad, and as he explained, we did meet about this after the stop work order was issued, and we did shake hands and we did reach an agreement. And the next morning, his crews were back on the site working again, and we had to go back out, and that is what precipitated the second action which was contact the city attorney
and request intervention.
Say that again, Tony.
So during the first meeting, when we placed the first stop work order, when we started construction of the tower, we issued stop work order. Mr. Rashad came here to City Hall. That's where he and I had the heated exchange, and we calmed down and we shook hands and we reached an agreement. The agreement was, you're going to apply for these permits. Here's the process, as Mr. Rashad explained. However, the next morning, before any permits had been applied for, the next morning, his crews were back to work on the site. And that's when we went back out, issued the second stop work order, and I had no more options now. There was nothing else I could do. And so we contacted the city attorney.
Can I speak?
Hold on just a minute, please. Anybody else have questions for staff at this point? Okay, I'll let you speak one more time, but I do not want this to turn into a debate back and forth.
No, I understand.
Okay.
I understand. And I was up for 2 days. I did not, sleep. And when they told me that your guys were there, I called them and I'm like, hey guys, get out, because they were under the impression that we had an inspection on Thursday. And this is like, we're talking about a footer. So we're not talking about building anything. They were just putting rebar in a hole. So there isn't any, we're not building a tower or anything. This was just an inspection.
But the footer would require a permit.
Yes. And as I explained to you that I had an approved plans, I have an affidavit, and I can share that with you guys. I have an affidavit of review and approval from Universal Engineering and Science that included all the elevators and everything. It was all the whole thing. So if you actually, think that I'm trying to work without a permit, why am I calling Universal for an inspection? This at best is like a miscommunication or maybe a misunderstanding, or, I did not know that a building permit would be needed for every little thing that you need to do. Like when I applied for the building permit in 21, I knew that I needed an elevator and an exterior egress and an ingress for the staircase. So all that was included in one package. For them to say, oh, you needed an extra one for the dumpster enclosure, you need an extra one for this and for that. All this was in one package and was approved. Any which way you look at this, I came in good faith, applied for permits, left, right, and center, submitted plans, had them with a third party. I can provide you, and they have that. They have the affidavit from Universal Engineering and Science with the plans approved, reviewed and approved. So I mean, why would you, the scope of work is actually a sentence that you write. You can be detailed or not, but this is like a human thing. But when you're applying and submitting the plan, why am I submitting a plans for elevator and I'm not, and I need to get another, and even let's just assume that they are right and I'm wrong. Now they ask me, it's a rubber stamp. This came out of Mr. Romano's mouth. This is a rubber stamp. Apply for it. Your plans are approved. All you need is just apply, and we're just giving you the permit. This is a conversation and how it ended on Thursday. I didn't know anything about this. Somebody texted me and you told me and send me a memorandum of the city wants me, to file a lawsuit against me after we shook hands and everything else. And I have been dealing with Mr. Radzak the most. And he has been great with me. He's a wonderful person, very decent individual. And when I emailed him this morning, he emailed me back and he told me he has no idea about this. But since he see whose names are there and the date, he told me you probably want to come attend this meeting and speak on this matter. So I have my site plan and I applied for what they actually call a rubber stamp because my plan's already approved 2 years ago.
So, but from what y'all seen, you're not sure that it fits the site plan? So there is going to have to be some review?
The building plans that were submitted today still have the pump house on them. That pump house is gone. It's been demolished.
The pump house that you see on the plans is the pump house that will be rebuilt. Because we're rebuilding the pump house adjacent to the staircase and the elevator shaft.
We have no C of As. We have nothing from HPV to indicate that's
HPV, I got that approval for the elevator shaft 2 years ago. This is like, I've been here for like ever. Everybody forgot what was going on. This is the problem. And this relates to the whole issue, about open for business. 3 years to get a permit. 3 years, Mr. Bonaparte. Remember when I met you, when we had the ceremonial ribbon cutting for Mr. Matthews? Mm-hmm. And I told you, I'm here, I want to be part of Sanford. And you start talking to me directly about the garage, and we start talking about all this. 3 years. I'm still yet to get my last permit. Staff told me to fire my architect. This is open for business.
Okay. Well, I met with your architect to explain to him how to draw a parking lot.
We can agree or disagree. This is a licensed Florida architect, and I like his work.
He is a licensed architect.
Yeah, he is a licensed architect. And I mean, I would love to take anybody. Okay. This is what I'm getting, people are laughing at my architect. The mayor is laughing at my architect. This is unacceptable, Mayor. This is unacceptable. I accept your apology. Thank you. This is open for business. They're telling me, we need the most amount of parking spaces. I asked the poor guy gives me 70 or 80 spaces. Then they kept sending me to the ringer. Oh, add this, subtract this, do that. And then he texted me. I still have that text. It was August of 23 when Mr. Romano texted me a sketch that was made by Chris Smith. And I told him, listen, I'm not bringing this to bash you or anything. I actually love that you think outside the box. I'm just tell me what you want. I'll do what you want. I just want a permit. I'm not here to fight you. We submit the same exact thing that Chris Smith drew. And he came back with a list of this comments.
Okay. Thank you. We need to move on and make a decision.
I'm not making a decision tonight on this. I will not make a decision tonight on this. That'll be up to you and the commission. I don't know where to go, up, down, left, or right. At the work session, I listened to what staff said. I totally agree what staff said. I'm listening to Mr. Rashad. I'm totally agreeing with Mr. Rashad. I don't speak building. I speak people, and I don't know what's going on. I'm disappointed on both sides because what I'm hearing is that I am trying my hardest, people. I don't understand. If work was told to be stopped, Mr. Rashad, I do not understand the next day how work is still going. I'm not going to go back all the way back to when y'all first began. I'm trying to figure out how we can move forward. I'm lost. No. I'm saying I am lost. I want to be able to support our city staff and to say that they're doing a good job and stand behind them 100%. I want to be able to support our businesses and say, I stand behind you 100%. This is ridiculous. All across the board. And the people of Sanford are suffering for this. I do not know.
Mayor, are we able to continue so we can get a better understanding?
Well, the problem is if we continue it, what happens over the next 2 weeks? If the concern is construction will continue without permits.
No, it's not. Stop.
So
if this is a bad assumption, Mayor. I know. I understand. But I mean, you know what you really need to say is that they can issue me my permit because they already have approved plans. This is what they said. It's a rubber stamp. Mr. Romano, did you or did you not tell me that this was a rubber stamp or not? Mr. Rashad, didn't he say that this was a rubber stamp?
Mr. Rashad.
The easiest way to go is I complied. I am sorry. I worked in their eyes without a permit. I applied for the permit. I will not resume any work till they issue the permit. Does that make you guys happy? Isn't that the end result that we want to move forward?
We definitely want to move forward.
Okay, well, I'm giving you the path here. It doesn't need to be complicated.
Sir, I need you to go ahead and sit down.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No permit can be issued without a CFA, Mayor. The comment about the rubber stamp was attributed to the site development permit because I knew it was already done. It was done when we had the meeting. And I would refer to legal, but I would, if I may, Mayor, if you approve us to move forward with litigation and Mr. Rashad does what he said he's going to do, nothing happens. Nothing happens. But if we don't approve litigation, then I have no recourse if he goes back to work and continues to work without permits on that site. I'm out of tools.
Well, and I was leaning toward approving with the condition that any action would be abated as long as the process moves forward as it should. But I'm not sure Mr. Rashad understands the timing issue with the C of A, that he needs, that those have expired and he has to reapply for those. And is there a way to, no, sir, I'm trying to get through this, okay?
You just. And they.
Okay.
And school permit said that for you.
Mr. Mayor, first of all, that's inappropriate to think like that. Second of all, and probably more importantly, is if you authorize the suit, it doesn't have to be filed. And if Mr. Rashad did go back to work, then it could be filed. And I'm telling you right now, the first thing I'm going to do is play with that statement that was just made, which is recorded to a judge, because he just promised that he would not do any work. That's what I heard. He promised he would not do any work without a permit. He would continue to stop what he's done now, which is he said stop. So if he just authorized the suit, it doesn't have to be filed. But if Mr. Rashad breaks his word, what he just said to you all just a few minutes ago, then we could initiate the lawsuit.
Okay, but the issue is the C of A's have, one of the issues is the C of A's have expired.
Correct.
Once they have expired, they cannot be extended. So he has to reapply for a C of A. What is the shortest path time-wise to get the C of A he would need to also get the building permit?
Coincidentally, tomorrow is the deadline for the next HPB.
And when is the next HPB?
The 16th? April 16th. So it's 2 weeks. Well,
So April 16th would be the earliest that a permit could be, actually after the HPB meeting on the 16th would be the earliest a permit could be issued.
correct. And he would have to have a completed and sufficient package for HPB consideration submitted by tomorrow.
And that needs to be for the construction of the elevator?
Anything vertical.
Anything?
So, right.
Okay.
I would include anything vertical because anything vertical in the historic district requires the C of A. So that may or may not include the dumpster enclosures, the elevator shaft, the replacement water tower, and anything else that may be vertical that I'm overlooking in this, moment.
From my perspective, it was two CVAs that were missing. The first one that was issued was never perfected. It was never paid for. He never paid for the fee for the application. And then it expired. That's C of A number one. That was for the demolition that was originally approved, but just occurred. So that's one. The second one is there's no C of A for the new pump house. So that needs to be applied for. That's for new construction.
The pump house and the elevator shaft.
Yes.
And potentially the dumpster enclosures, I would include those as well because they are vertical.
Okay.
And then even if they're just standard dumpster enclosures, they still have to be reviewed by the HPB.
Dumpsters have to be?
Not the dumpsters themselves, just the walls that are being built around them to make sure that they're architecturally consistent with the building and the general intent of Schedule S.
Okay.
Okay. So based on where it is right now, I'm not sure if I want to go here or not.
I don't
Okay.
know. I was gonna say, I don't know enough about the plans that were submitted today to be able to speak for Julie and say that there's enough information in there to be a sufficient package, but he would still have to put in the application for the C of A. So.
Is there enough footer work and non-vertical work that any of that could continue without a C of A and still meet the purpose of the C of A, that it be appropriate?
For structural, I don't believe so, because they can't do a footer without a building permit. They can't do a building permit without a C of A, but he has a site development permit. Nothing says he can't start working on the parking lot, start cleaning it up, start getting that part approved, like moving forward. He also has the utility permit for underground work and getting that utility system complete. So he needs to work with the utilities department to get that system in so that phase 2, which is the CRA phase, can pick up and continue. Because all of that work is approved.
Mr. Ramondo, do we explain that to him?
Yes.
Okay.
So the horizontal work has been approved as part of the site development permit. Anything vertical, up or down, has not.
The new piece of information we received in the workshop is that the sewer might be in conflict with the slide.
Oh.
And that has to be resolved.
Okay. But regardless of what we do tonight, the 16th is the earliest possible date to get an approval to continue work. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
For
anything vertical,
Yeah,
anything
okay.
that would need a C of A.
All right.
So the parking lot does not.
Then I would consider approving the litigation with abatement until the 16th, or as long as he continues to work under actual permits, and that we sit down and put in writing, if we haven't already, here is exactly what is needed and when it is needed. I mean, I agree with the attorney. Approving the litigation doesn't mean any litigation is filed unless there's a reason to actually do it. So,
I agree. I support Tony in the fact that he's saying that he needs to have something that has some teeth. I do agree with that as well. But I do want the project to continue in the right way.
I think we all want it to continue. All of us are excited about
You didn't. All right. I said I wanted it to continue in the right way. I'm just speaking for me.
All right. Wouldn't somebody wants to make a motion? Otherwise,
I think we've put enough fear into enough people to get this on track one way or another. I know everybody has good intentions here, so we're not doubting that. I'd like to think that all of the truth is coming out here. I think much of it is. And as Commissioner Britton said, and the mayor has said, we do need to have something here to say. We have to have that potential of litigation to get things on track. I would ask that, I know you're doing this already. I hope you are making sure that our processes are as clear as a bell to everybody involved in this, so that there is no doubt that the people involved understand what's expected of them and when. I think it is, but let's just make doubly and triply sure going forward that everyone here understands what their responsibilities are and agrees to comply.
was there a motion in there?
I cautiously move to approve The litigation, but not the fact that we are litigating.
I think what can I help maybe authorize?
You did put the words in here.
Well, I think
Comfortable with them.
if you just move to
The
authorize,
move to authorize the filing of the
But-
litigation.
but the act, to authorize the litigation, but would only be filed in the event of non-compliance by the property owner, which would mean commencing construction again without a permit.
That's your motion?
Who's agreeing to the non-compliance definition? We are.
Well.
You are.
I want to like clarify because we talked about a couple of different things. Are we saying we are completely stopping work completely, or as Eileen was stating that there are other things that can be done? You can do the parking, you can do some other maintenance
Do the
stuff.
sewer.
Okay. The sewer, so you can work on that. So I don't want it to be, I'm walking out there picking up trash and I see work being done and then I'm like, okay, you're not supposed to be doing anything. So are we specifically saying, okay, we're stopping work completely until this is done?
Yeah.
We just need to stop the
non-permitted work.
non-permitted work. Okay.
Since the vice mayor's not here, you would take that?
No, I don't want
Yeah. I would move
to. On the roof.
to authorize the litigation with abatement as long as there is no unpermitted work being done. And I don't take that motion lightly because I'm not sure we've ever faced this before. To have a project that we want to have happen and that has been this much of a struggle. That's my motion.
Second.
No, you have to call for a second. You can't for a second because you have the gavel.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
A second.
Discussion? Any discussion?
No.
All approved?
Aye.
Any not approving? Motion carries. Don't have to do this. You did a good job. Right. On it.
Okay. So somebody, you would get with him and make sure we are very clear and that he is very clear about the need for the C of A application by tomorrow so that he can move forward and the things that he can go ahead and start working on. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony, excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Tony, I would ask that staff write that up, present it to him and share it with the city commission.
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything else, city attorney?
No, thank you.
City clerk, we have some board appointments.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw the alternate for P and Z has given notice
So we now
that
have,
he is moving, so we were looking for an alternate. Now we're looking for two.
okay. So let's do the easy ones first. Sanford Housing Authority, we had said Terry Tillett and Thomas. What's Thomas?
Almost no relation.
Rosalind Thomas?
Yeah.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Now, does it make sense to appoint museum board members if we're changing that? I mean, we can appoint those when we redo the whole thing.
There'll be a resolution for you next time for that.
Okay. All right. And then we had agreed on Michael Acosta for P and Z, but now that will not be a alternate position. That'll be a full position. Is that my understanding?
No, we need two alternates.
We need two alternates. Okay. So,
That's my resume.
um, Does anybody have their? Okay, so let's do Michael Acosta tonight, and then everybody look at their stuff again.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimously. Anything else, City Clerk? Okay, City Manager?
Nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioner.
Okay, City Commissioners, Commissioner Thomas.
Oh, I'm going first.
Yeah.
Events. I attended Interfaith Iftar, which was a wonderful event, and I'm so happy to see that we have a strong community there. We were very welcomed, and I look forward to more of those. On the 18th was the Iranian Fire Festival. I don't know if any of you were there, but that's also an amazing event. Lisa Jones was kind enough to give me finally my Parks and Recs tour. I'm elated to have done that. I think you guys do a fabulous job, and I'm grateful for that. We already talked about legislative action days in Tallahassee. That's always significant to me. I've worn different hats when I've gone up there, and it's been useful, sometimes frustrating, but at times useful. I attended with Commissioner Wiggins, Magic coming to do dedication at Coastline Park. That was a wonderful event, seeing tiny little kids with a very tall basketball player who made them look tinier than they already are. Upcoming events, we are having Central Florida Homeless Coalition again. We're having a retreat for 4 hours on the 4th, so I'll be at that. Sanford Speaks, as Commissioner Williams will tell you, I won't steal his thunder on that. Today happens to be what's been going on for 19 years now. This is the Trans Day of Visibility, and I would like to honor that day. And it makes me think about my friends Eleanor, Robin, Jillian, and Allie, all of whom have left the state because they feared for their safety. I have other friends here who haven't left, and I will stay here and continue to support them as best I can. And I would like to think that you would all consider being kind and open to all of your fellow citizens here, because honestly, who cares? But let's have some respect there. Let's see. I have some other points I want to make, probably in conjunction with what you will hear from Commissioner Britton. So I don't know if I might want to tag team here on that. Let's just say that I have gone judiciously through our city charter, our employment agreement with the city manager, and I'm new at this, so you'll hear this from me, and I'm going to use that as much as I can until I'm not new anymore. But it's just concerning to me that we have very detailed processes on how to fire somebody. Short of that, there's not a lot documented on how we manage the discipline for any of our employees, whether it's, well, most of it's up to HR. Those of us in the commission are responsible for the city clerk, the city manager, the city attorney. And maybe we need to do a better job next time we're looking at reviewing how we do employment agreements and how we do a city charter. Because when it comes to progressive discipline, unless I'm missing it, it ain't there. So it's hard for me to disagree with somebody who wants to try and, in the only open forums we have to talk to one another about these things, say that there is an issue. I have not been here during that whole time to have the specific experience with what a lot of these issues are, so I have to digress to somebody else to talk about that. But I can say that I have looked at how we deal with these things, and I'm not comfortable that we have enough procedure documented to do it properly. Everything that has been said in here by the attorney, I don't disagree with, but it looks more, I'm sorry, but opinion to me than fact. So we can talk about that more and you can correct me, but that's what I'm reading here. This is my opinion. This is what I think. You cannot do that, but I'm not finding something behind it to say it's written down somewhere. So pardon my ignorance. If I'm missing it, I'm sure you'll tell me. But I think we just need to do a better job of what happens between the time we hire somebody and the annual review that we're very good at, and somewhere in between there, I'd like to have something that says, we're trying to fix something here. I don't necessarily want you to go away, but if there is a problem, again, not coming from me, but if there is a problem, how do we address it and make it right? What do we do to improve that behavior short of firing you or anybody else that we're responsible for firing? That's what I'm trying to fix here. And I think I'll stop there.
Commissioner Wiggins.
Just want to thank some of the city staff and some of our partners. Last few weeks, 2 weeks ago, Mr. Henderson was able, we took about 20 kids to the Orlando Magic games, their first time actually going to a Magic game. So a lot of those kids are very excited about that. The next day, we were able to take them down to Tampa. The Universal Soul Circus took about 50 kids and parents down there. Again, just give kudos to Lisa Holder with legislative, action days. She said that I look forward to doing that with the kids. Again, you guys know how much I love our youth and give them opportunities, especially some of the ones that would not have been able to take that trip if they were not a part of the Mayor's Youth Council or the Young Men and Young Women Veterans Program. Then also my partner, my brothers Mark and Ryan with Picnic Project. This past Friday was at Mother Ruby Wilson Park, and again was able to bless 50 families with groceries. Again, we do that once a month. And then also giving kudos shouts out to Parks and Recs on how they had coastline set up, but also Mr. Brett Henderson spearheaded an opportunity where we had Coastline Park. We had 2 basketball courts that the Orlando Magic and Asbian Health came in to refurbish. And we had about 60 kids out there that met, Nick Anderson and one of their ball players that are playing right now. So again, just the exposure to give our children and the community an opportunity to see some things that they never would have seen before. So I want to thank you for that. I'm done.
All right, Commissioner Bratton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to thank the residents that are still here. And I know many of you will be watching on YouTube. There were a lot of people that left and many of you all that I asked for you to come tonight. I'm going to read over some of the concerns that I have here just so that my thought process is clear and that you hear from me. So I want to thank the residents who have taken the time to attend tonight's meeting. While you elect representatives to advocate on your behalf, your presence here sends a powerful message and it holds us, and when I'm saying us, that includes me, accountable and ensures that your voice is heard. I have many concerns, but I'm just going to try to condense some things tonight. I'm going to start with the concerns about litter control management. The City Commission approved a dedicated litter control position to address the growing concerns of litter throughout Sanford. Ms. Woodward is here. I spoke to her about the litter on Mellonville. I spoke to Ms. Demings, who walks in the mornings, and we're constantly talking about trash. And that's one of the 5 things that we have going on in the city of Sanford that is a really big issue. I was informed that the person that we made a special position for to do straight litter control was reassigned to another crew. To me, that's unacceptable. And the reason why I'm saying that is because this is one of the issues that I brought to the commission and stated that it's something that we needed to work on. So I asked the city manager for a report, some data that shows what is being done. They said that he was put onto a crew. This was the message that I received back. The decision to place the litter control employee with a crew was a management decision based on problems that were experienced with the employee. Discussions were had with the employee about undesirable behavior that management noticed, and when the discussions failed to change the behavior, a decision was made to place the employee on the crew. Now, this is the employee that I asked City Commission to have so that we can address the litter control issues. Now, when my frustration comes out or I seem snappy or whatnot, it's because I have been working for years to try to get things accomplished, years for small things to happen. The residents of Sanford that I represent were promised a solution, and then we're back to square one because that person wasn't being accountable for his position. So instead of reprimanding, instead of saying, okay, you're not doing the job and getting somebody else to do the job that I told my constituents that we were going to do, we put them on the crew. This is yet another instance where decisions are made without transparency, making it difficult for me to effectively represent my district. Now, had I not been asking for a log of where the trash pickup, I would have never known that this gentleman was put on a crew. I get up twice a week and I go pick up trash myself. And I'm saying, we just hired new people. Why am I still picking up 2 bags of trash myself? Then I decided to go and drive over onto Mellonville because that's what one of my constituents said, that there's a lot of heavy traffic over there and trash was still there. So I'm saying, well, where is the log? To find out that the person was put on the crew. Then all of a sudden, I was informed that now the person is back out. Okay, moving on. Communication and engagement. I have emphasized to the city manager the critical importance of clear communication between the city and our residents. That's one of the things that I constantly talk about. Here's one of the things that I think that will be effective. If you watch YouTube, now with the new technology, you can scroll across. So those residents who are not able to attend the meeting, they don't know really what's going on, they don't speak government, you can tap on the scroll button and it will show you what is being spoke about, okay? And so it's like adding a timestamp and description to the videos that would allow residents to easily navigate discussions without frustration. A lot of the time, our residents do want to engage. They do want to be involved in what's happening with City Hall, but it is difficult. You have a family, you have a business, and it's hard for you to come and attend a meeting. Then you have to go on YouTube and try to look through 3 or 4 hours to talk about one item that you heard maybe on social media, or it's your subdivision, or it's trash, or what have you. This is very important. It does help. It doesn't cost the city of a lot of money. And if I can do it on my YouTube channel, then so can the city of Sanford. Golf cart policy issues. The ongoing struggles with golf cart regulations are unacceptable. Residents are receiving citations despite having paid their registration fees. The renewal process I've spoken about over and over again with the golf cart stickers should be accessible through Citizen Serve. It should not be tedious and a frustrating task. We all talked about the Saturday golf cart event that was it could have been held, it could have been conducted better. We need to revisit the policies and procedures to ensure that they are clear, fair, and efficient for our residents. I want to talk about hurricane preparedness. Hurricane season begins June 1st, and proactive planning must happen. Now, I know that we have some things that are in order, and of course, I'm going to receive an email about this, that, and the other should happen. But we can't rely on last year's plans. We need updated strategies for our flood-prone areas, debris removal, stormwater management. Residents and business owners need clear communication about what's going on. A lot of the times, things that happen, or all of the gossip or social media or the complaints, is because they don't know what's happening. If we're effectively communicating, if we're saying, okay, this is going to be what we focus on this entire week, this entire month, but just giving the excuse that we just posted on social media is not enough. These people have a life. If our residents don't see it, it doesn't exist. Let's talk about cross-training from the Parks and Recreation to maybe the Public Works Department. We know that drainage and is a big issue for our area. And I'm not just talking about downtown, because downtown, District 1 is more than just downtown, and the city of Sanford is more than just downtown. I want to address infrastructure and maintenance issues. I strongly encourage the Public Works Department and the city manager to conduct some on-site evaluations rather than relying solely on office meetings. Specific concerns in District 1, 9 streetlights that I counted are out on Seminole Boulevard. The market lights on Palmetto and Park Avenue remain non-functional. One day I'll go out there and I'll see that they're working, the next day that they're not. Leaves continue to pile up on the stormwater drains, leading to preventable flooding. I'm encouraging some logs in the Public Works Department. Like, I'm going to give you an example. If I come to the city manager and public works department and I say that there's a sewage leak that occurs and they go out and they put lime down, there should be a follow-up process to ensure proper cleaning. I should not have to call back and say, are y'all going to leave the lime out there? Because the parents of the students who have to walk across that for their bus stop are not complaining because it's a week and the lime is still sitting out up there. These are just simple things that I'm constantly complaining about. Let's have some follow-up. And it should not have to be the city commissioner constantly complaining about things. That is not who I am. That is not what I want. Lime is down, pressure wash, plot, story, tell it. Before I talk about something else, I do want to applaud Carmelo, who is our street sweeper. I watched him last week going above and beyond with our street sweeping. Sometimes he gets out where the speed bumps are. There is the little covering, and sometimes the leaves get caught underneath there. So even though we sweep, water is still trapped because the leaves are there. I watched him get out, blow those things out. Immediately, I recorded him and I sent it to Mr. Johnson. I sent it to Mr. Bonaparte because I believe in not only complaining, but also talking about the good things that are happening in the city of Sanford and our employees. I really, truly believe that we should be trying to form some sort of system where we're letting, especially the downtown area that has the street parking, that there are days when they should park to the left or to the right, so that we can efficiently get the leaves up, because there are times when you see the street sweeper goes around. But I think if we had an active campaign, if we did videos about not blowing your yard waste into the streets, and it not just being one video, the attention spans are short. You have to be able to know how to engage with the public. Let it be a week-long thing. Use your ambassadors or whatnot, so that we can make sure that we are effectively getting our streets clean. It's not rocket science. The need for leadership and accountability. Sanford is an incredible city with incredible potential. We are the only city in Central Florida that has a major waterfront, a historic and entertainment district, an international airport, access to to the interstate, the Sunrail and Amtrak connectivity. And despite these assets, we are failing to implement forward-thinking. We are failing. We are failing to implement forward-thinking leadership that matches the city's potential. I appreciate that the commission came together to hire a new attorney, but we must continue to demand higher standards for leadership across all departments. I was elected to serve the people of Sanford, not to be a passive participant in local government. Yet I am constantly met with resistance, being advised not to attend the planning and zoning meetings, being told not to challenge the city manager's evaluation, being told not to ask difficult questions about development. My job is to advocate for my constituents, not to be silenced or constantly stonewalled. My purpose for asking residents to listen tonight and to come to the commission meeting was a call to action for District 1 residents. I encourage you all to come because your presence makes a difference. I do not have regular community meetings like District 2 because every commission meeting is an opportunity for engagement. However, I cannot fight these battles alone. I cannot. I need your support to push for better leadership, better management, and more innovative solutions. My question to my fellow commissions, and you don't have to answer tonight, is are we seeing a return on the taxpayers' investment in leadership to the tune of more than $200,000? I think not. In closing, for my District 1 report, my only goal is to support the city of Sanford, and I would love to stand before you and speak only about our successes, but I refuse to ignore our shortcomings. I will continue fighting for transparency, accountability, and progress, but to you people that are here and to the ones that are watching, I need your voices to help make it happen. I cannot keep calling out your shortcomings without my fellow officials knowing that I'm not speaking just for myself, but for the community. I'm fully committed to going above and beyond in my role as a representative. However, I find it increasingly difficult to fulfill my duties that I promised my constituents under the leadership of our current city attorney, Lonnie Groot, our city manager, Norton Bonaparte, and regrettably, our mayor, Art Woodruff. I want to thank you, and that concludes the District 1 report.
We're done.